am finally fully funded with FTMO, passing 2 160k euro challenges and verifications in just a couple of days, and I'm gonna showcase you everything in my dashboard. And I also made already the first profits with the funded account because I've merged it. I have right now one 320k euro funded account and I've already made around 3% in profit. I'm gonna show you my dashboard, explaining you my risk management, my failures during these challenges and mistakes, and that you can learn the most out of it, and my whole process behind everything. Let's go, friends. So over here, that was the setup. I'm gonna break it down to you as well. But first, let's just dive into the FTMO dashboard. As you can see here, guys, the challenge, I started it on the 3rd of May and I passed it really in just a couple of days. I have here on my phone right now the MetaTrader screenshot. I'm gonna show you here as well. And we're going to go a little bit through the trades. So I'm gonna open up right now here the metrics. So you will see exactly my drawdowns and everything. And what a surprise, I've been in a drawdown by myself. It's not like you're a profitable trader, you are funded, you're passing those challenges and whatsoever, and that doesn't mean that you're not making any mistakes. I'm right now 5 years in this market, but still I make losses because this is normal and you gotta accept them. The problem why traders are not profitable is because they are not able to accept losses. They're still trying to figure out some special strategies and to learn more and more and more in order to discover something which doesn't exist. At the end, you gotta use this as your advantage and know how to place your stop loss, when to enter into the market, when to exit, and so on. And to control your emotions, of course, plus risk management. So yeah, that's what I did. I kind of risk very often per trading setup that I have, especially during the challenge and verification phases, around 2 to sometimes even 3%, it depends. Sometimes I also like trade too many trades in one day or in a couple of days because I'm trying to pass it very fast. It's actually a phase where you don't get any reward for it. The only reward that you will get by passing the challenges and the verification is when you're getting your first refund, because you're spending right now the energy and the time to pass it with no reward, but afterwards when you get the refund, that's why you're doing it. And I will also show you right now how I did that one. Here you can see the first trades as well, or the trading days. The first one was almost 8k euro in loss, which was the entire daily drawdown almost. I risk it quite aggressively on the very first stage because for me, losing those 5% is not really much. It's actually what the Propfirm is allowing to me to risk the entire daily drawdown. And yeah, I'm gonna do it, especially in the first 5%. I have zero emotions or attachment to it, but afterwards the real hard work will start because you are in a drawdown and you gotta come out of the drawdown. So that's why you can see here that I've been already at the 5% drawdown, almost 5% drawdown on the first trading day, because I was a little bit too aggressive with the trades. I picked up the wrong trades, wrong setup, making mistakes, was not able to close whatsoever. But then what you gotta do afterwards is to come out of the drawdown. As you can see here, I've made over 2% in the next day, followed by losing almost the entire 2%. Again, I was at the same level, which is fine. But then, as you can see, I kept on going and going, and on that day, I think I traded even 2 trades or whatsoever, and I was able to make some huge percentages because I also risked around 2%. I mean, if I'm only 5% in a drawdown, I still have 5% to lose, so therefore around 2 to 3% is what we can still use with no any emotional attachments. Afterwards, if you're like 8% in a drawdown, you cannot risk that much anymore. You gotta go to 1% or even lower. And here you can see actually the better version on how to pass a challenge on this challenge over there. As you can see, the metrics, I just started to make only profits in a couple of days. The profits have been quite insane. 12k 700 on the first trading day, 3,400 on the second one, and yeah, it was just passed in 2 days. That is how I'm trying to do it every single time, but obviously won't work. And that's also why I'm a little bit more aggressive at the beginning, because that way you can ensure this type of performance. Because if I would only risk 1%, but I have a high quality setup, I would not take disadvantage from it to pass it very, very fast. And then in the verification stage, it was quite similar. I traded almost the same thing on both. That's why the metrics looks the same. I made some profits, and then I risked the profits that I made in order to then be on a normal drawdown level. Like in this case, I was at around 2% in drawdown, plus the profits that I make. That's why I made here more than 1% on the first day, more than the profits minus the normal 2% risk on it. So it was more aggressively. The goal was to pass it at that day. So I like to really risk my generated profits in order to pass it. If I then come back to the drawdown phase, it's fine for me. I can again make it back from here. As you can see here, 7K profit and then another 3K profit, and also the verification was done. Now let's come to the more interesting part, the part of being in the funded stage, where we really get money from trading those demo accounts. So over here, I merged it to the 320,000 euro account, and I tried to only make some small profits. Not really something crazy, because I want to get my refund. And that's why in this case, I've tried to go for something realistic. In this case, the way and how the setup provided me was an 8K 300 euro profit. I'm gonna show you right now the trade from that one day, which was this one. I've seen price today in the London session going bullish. I wasn't really sure about what will happen. I tried to understand it. I've seen the price moving up, here some form of consolidation, and then I've seen the break of structure to the downside. Whenever I see personally a break of structure, it's not for me a confirmation to say, okay, I'm gonna take the short whatsoever. You see here the SMC traders having their order block. You see the ICT traders having their imbalances marked up here, and all are trying to short. You see some higher time frame liquidity here to the left, and so on. And for me, the higher time frame was still bullish. Also during the news, I was expecting price to go up, but I'm not trading the news often with the funded accounts. I've done that already a few times. Sometimes I was lucky, sometimes I blowed the entire account in just 1 minute because of the event going against me. Especially with news events, they can very often go first in the wrong direction and then into your direction, but probably your funded account is done by that moment. So yeah, friends, quickly to the way and how we trade. It's actually not something right now where I would say, hey, this is a holy grail strategy or whatsoever. It has some mix of ICT concepts, SMC concepts, also retail concepts. I mean, you can also say that the trade that I did here was based on support resistance. I mean, we can clearly see that exactly at this level it reacted back up, so we might add that one thing to it. But the way and how I would clarify the strategy is that it works based on liquidity. I've developed the strategy right now over the last 5 years, and I understand how the market works. It's based on the principles, and I'm not trying to have here every day the correct movement. I know that I can pretty often pinpoint everything about the market and what it's gonna do, but I also know that I'm gonna make failures not understanding everything. But in theory, I can explain you the entire price action candle by candle, why it has to do certain things. And I also have a very powerful but also very simple approach, because I'm not trying to make rocket science like ICT out of every price action, trying to confuse everyone where you have to study 3, 4 or even 5 years to fully understand how the market works. It's gonna happen in a very short time period that you understand it, but you will understand that you need something different in order to be successful with it, and that is the experience. Okay, so you will be able to read this type of price action then in the next couple of months if you're in our team, because I always share on a daily basis what I'm looking to trade. Like in this case, I wasn't sure. I shared as a forecast long and short. At the end, the long setup played out due to the entry confirmations that we had in this case. You can see how price grabbed here in this case, not the structure, it actually grabbed liquidity, right? So for me, this is not a BOS. What I would mark here, it's a liquidity source. and then it comes back up and it breaks here some form of structure, and that will validate for us the entry, and we know that it has to come here at the end. We will spot here some level at the top, and that's why price went up that high at that day here, right? You see, we grabbed this whole thing. So that's why also the news and everything would have been easy possible to read and also to trade. So my expectation was this long here in the news event, sorry, like this. But yeah, I closed it earlier because that was my rule for the session that I traded here, to close it here. And for everyone who's interested in joining us, learning the strategy, and also finally getting funded, because I share there a lot of tips and tricks. We have 2 Zoom calls per week. You are going to be also the next one who will be funded with FTMO Max if you're putting in the work. See you guys in the next video.